U.S. Senator John Fetterman is suing Sonny Hostin and the producers of The View. The hoodie-wearing, straight-talking senator from Pennsylvania is going head-to-head with the queens of daytime chatter. But how did we get here? Why is Fetterman trading policy debates for legal battles? And most importantly, why are we all so invested in the drama? This whole saga began when Sonny Hostin, one of the co-hosts of The View, made some eyebrow-raising remarks about Fetterman.
I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated. But I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate. And I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases. And we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. I'm talking about the New York trial, and now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like, now he's a convicted felon.
She jumps in and says, well, what about January 6th? And he says, I'm not talking about January 6th.
Yeah.
I mean, what a partisan.
Now, we all know The View isn't exactly known for holding back. It's like a gladiator arena for hot takes, where opinions clash and civility sometimes takes a coffee break. But even by their standards, this one went a little too far.
Let me ask you this. While Democrats work on fixing past mistakes, a lot of Americans are disturbed about the future. Trump is terrorizing migrants by threatening to call on the military to round them up on U.S. soil. He's also imposing tariffs that everybody says could send prices soaring, and threats to punish the media who don't fall in line. Of all of that, Senator, what worries you the most?
Well, I mean, nothing really worries me, because right now nothing has really happened yet. I mean, Trump now is 6 weeks out before he's even going to be inaugurated. But America signed up for this. It's undeniable. He won the popular vote, and he ran the table, including my state as well, too. This is what America decided. So this is definitely going to go in a direction that a lot of Democrats aren't going to agree with that, but I'm going to be a part of that conversation. And there's going to be plenty of people that are going to freak out, or they're going to have these.
But before we get started with this whole drama, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest news surrounding Hollywood. Here's the context. Fetterman recently visited Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's Florida estate. And no, he wasn't there for golf tips or a taste of the Mar-a-Lago cheeseburgers. Fetterman, a Democrat, was trying to build bridges in an era where political divisions feel as deep as the Grand Canyon. But Hostin, she wasn't buying it. She questioned Fetterman's motives, implying that his trip was less about bipartisan progress and more about cozying up to the opposition. It wasn't just criticism, it felt personal. Hostin essentially painted Fetterman as someone who traded his democratic principles for a seat at the Trump table.
I'm open to many of the nominees. I thought that's been part of the ongoing dialogue, that I've been happy to meet with all of them. And I think I've met with virtually all of them. And I've been watching the hearings. And now that's an ongoing dialogue. So nothing really has changed.
Now imagine being Fetterman. You're out there trying to revive the dying art of bipartisan dialogue, and suddenly a talk show host accuses you of fraternizing with the enemy. That's not just frustrating, it's potentially career damaging. And Fetterman, he wasn't about to let it slide. Let's talk about Mar-a-Lago for a second. In today's political climate, that place is less a location and more a symbol. For Trump supporters, it's a shrine. For his critics, it's the Death Star. So when Fetterman decided to step foot in Trump's Florida fortress, he had to know he was walking into a minefield. But here's the thing. Fetterman isn't your typical Democrat. He's a guy who's built his career on authenticity, pragmatism, and a refusal to play by the usual rules. Whether it's his hoodie-over-suit aesthetic or his willingness to call out his own party when he disagrees, Fetterman has always been a bit of a political maverick. His trip to Mar-a-Lago wasn't about aligning with Trump. It was about trying to find common ground on issues that matter to Pennsylvanians. Still, the optics were tricky. In an age where crossing the aisle often looks like betrayal, Fetterman's visit was bound to spark controversy. But what he probably didn't expect was for that controversy to spiral into a full-blown lawsuit. When Sonny Hostin made her comments, Fetterman didn't just shrug it off. He could have. Politicians get criticized on TV all the time. It's practically a rite of passage. But Fetterman saw this as more than just a personal attack. He believed Hostin's remarks were misleading, harmful, and emblematic of a larger problem in today's media landscape.
that you will also have plans to work with the administration as to how to remedy a lot of the death and destruction that happened in Gaza as well. I know you've spoken about that. There's been a lot of soul searching on the Democratic side, people needing answers on what went wrong. Do you think that is helpful? And do you think there should also be some soul searching on the Republican side who need to analyze why they would nominate a convicted felon who ran on lies, threats of retribution, and concepts of a plan?
So, what's his argument? Fetterman claims that Hostin twisted the facts to fit a sensational narrative, undermining his credibility and damaging his reputation. And he's not wrong to be concerned. In an era where headlines travel faster than the speed of light, a single comment can shape public perception in powerful ways. But this isn't just about Fetterman's feelings being hurt, it's about the principle. In his view, allowing this kind of commentary to go unchecked sets a dangerous precedent. It blurs the line between legitimate criticism and outright misinformation. And for a public figure who's trying to foster honest, productive dialogue, that's a line worth defending. Here's where things get interesting. This lawsuit isn't just about one senator and one talk show host. It's a microcosm of the larger tension between politics and media. Think about it. We live in a world where political discourse is increasingly shaped by sound bites, memes, and hot takes. Complex issues get boiled down to clickbait headlines, and the line between entertainment and journalism gets blurrier by the day. Fetterman's lawsuit forces us to ask some tough questions. What responsibility do media personalities have to ensure their commentary is fair and accurate? At what point does criticism cross over into defamation? And how do we navigate the fine line between freedom of speech and accountability?
Well, I mean, nothing really worries me, because right now nothing has really happened yet. I mean, Trump now is 6 weeks out before he's even going to be inaugurated. But America signed up for this. It's undeniable. He won the popular vote, and he ran the table, including my state as well, too. This is what America decided.
For Hostin and the producers of The View, this case could serve as a wake-up call. While the show thrives on its provocative discussions, this lawsuit highlights the potential consequences of pushing the envelope too far. One of the most fascinating aspects of this story is Fetterman himself. He's not your typical politician, and that's a big part of what makes this lawsuit so compelling. Fetterman has built his brand on being a straight shooter. He's the guy who will call out hypocrisy, stand up for what he believes in, and refuse to play the partisan game. That authenticity has earned him both fans and critics. To his supporters, he's a breath of fresh air in a political landscape filled with spin and doublespeak. To his detractors, he's a wild card, unpredictable, and occasionally abrasive. But love him or hate him, there's no denying that Fetterman is willing to fight for what he believes is right. And in this case, that means fighting to preserve the integrity of political dialogue. And of course, it wouldn't be fair to tell this story without considering The View's side. As a show, they thrive on controversy. Their bread and butter is dissecting hot-button issues, often with a mix of humor, passion, and, let's be honest, occasional drama. And in their defense, they're not exactly known for playing it safe. Sunny Hostin, in particular, is one of the show's more outspoken voices. Her commentary often pushes boundaries, and that's part of what makes her so polarizing.
I think she's changed her tune. I think when they go low, you have to meet that energy and perhaps go even lower, become small like an ant and go to the Earth's crust. And what I will say is,
Not cross Sunny Hostin.
yeah. Well, what I will say is, she said that she did not enjoy Trump's 2017 inauguration because there was no diversity, there was no color on that stage. She said there was no reflection of the broader sense of what America looks like, and many people took pictures of her, and she just wasn't in a good mood.
To her fans, she's fearless and unfiltered. To her critics, she's reckless and inflammatory. In this case, Hostin might argue that her comments were simply an opinion, a perspective based on her interpretation of Fetterman's actions. But Fetterman's lawsuit suggests otherwise. He's not just saying, I disagree with your take. He's saying, your take was factually wrong and damaging. At its core, this lawsuit taps into a larger cultural moment. We're living in an era where trust in institutions, whether it's government, media, or even science, is at an all-time low. People are skeptical, cynical, and quick to assume the worst. And in that context, the way we talk about politics matters more than ever. Fetterman's visit to Mar-a-Lago was a bold move. It was an attempt to bridge the divide in a country that often feels irreparably fractured. But the reaction to that visit, and the subsequent fallout, highlights just how hard it is to navigate today's political landscape. On one hand, you've got people who see any attempt at bipartisanship as a betrayal, On the other hand, you've got people who are so entrenched in their own views that they can't even entertain the idea of compromise. And in the middle of it all, you've got Fetterman, trying to walk a tightrope over a pit of partisan quicksand. So, where do we go from here? The lawsuit is still in its early stages, and it's hard to predict how it will play out. Will it end in a settlement? Will it go to trial? Will it spark a larger conversation about media accountability? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this story isn't just about Fetterman and Hostin, it's about all of us. It's about how we consume media, how we engage with politics, and how we navigate the increasingly blurry line between opinion and fact. At the end of the day, Fetterman's lawsuit is more than just legal drama. It's a reminder of the stakes in today's political and media landscape. It challenges us to think critically about the narratives we buy into and the impact those narratives have on public discourse. So, what do you think? Is Fetterman a hero for standing up against what he sees as harmful rhetoric? Or is this just another example of political theater? Whatever your take, one thing's clear. This story is far from over. And in the meantime, we'll all be watching. If you guys liked today's video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.